Hello, it's Aaron from Workflow 86, and today I'll be showing how you can pass placeholders into an assigned task component to dynamically render data or information you might have. So let's take, for example, this particular workflow. So we have a form, and then this form plugs into an assigned task. And inside of this form, we have a pull request checklist where a user is, for example, entering in the URL link to their pull request and describing what kind of change they made, making a risk assessment, etc. And once this is submitted, it will actually create a second task, and that task is basically something which they need to complete once they've actually merged that pull request into production, like a final checklist. And inside of the form here, we actually want it to display some of the information which they might have typed in from the original form that started out the process. So how do we do that? Well, first thing you need to do, and it is a little bit hidden, and we are looking to change this around a bit to make it a bit more obvious, but up here you'll see a little cog, and when you click that cog, there'll be a setting here. And there'll be a setting here which says allow placeholders in the form content. You want to turn that on. Now, once this is on, what this means is you can now actually start using placeholders inside of the question text, the description text. You can even use placeholders to dynamically set the answers to a particular option of a question. But let's take a look at, for example, inserting placeholders from the form into this content block. So let's say, for example, we want to display the URL that the user typed into in the original form. So pull request URL. What we'll now do is we'll press the $ button, and then you'll see here that a drop-down menu will appear, and from here we can actually select what the placeholder we want to insert here is. So in this case, we want to insert the answer and that particular placeholder. And then we click save, and you can see there that the placeholder is set there. The other thing that I mentioned is that you can actually use placeholders to dynamically pre-answer certain questions. So for example, this is a long text field, any issues encountered in production. And just for example, we actually want the answer to this to actually be something which the user typed in the original form. Again, the way we do that is we press the $ to bring up the placeholders, and let's just say that we want the answer to this to be this placeholder. We can do that by turning on the predetermined answer on and then inserting the placeholder accordingly, and we can click save. All right, now we can actually see this in action. So let's publish this. Done. Just double checking that I will have access to this and access to the second one. And now we click start. Okay, so this is the first form. So that is the form here. And this is that field that we put as a placeholder in the assigned task. So say this is the URL. And let's just type in my email. Just type in testing, and then we'll just answer these. And now we'll click submit. All right, this is submitted, and this will then generate an assigned task which I'll get sent, but I'll actually just go into my task page here, and then I'll open up the task. And you can see here that this is the task that was generated. You can see here that the placeholder has been substituted. And if we click any issues encountered in production, you can see that the placeholder value has also been substituted as an answer into that question as well. Alrighty, so that is how you can insert placeholders into your assigned task components to dynamically render content inside of it. Another example of how this might be used is you can see here that inside of this email, we have a whole bunch of placeholders from the original form inserted into the body of it. Instead of having all this information being displayed here, what we can do is we can click Control C, And then we can go into this content block and insert all those placeholders in there. Whoop. There we go. And in which case we probably don't need to double print it out inside of the email and inside of the task itself, so we can delete this all here. And then we can click save, publish. Great. And now when this form is submitted and then the task is generated, all the information from the form, all the placeholder values, we printed out inside of the form, inside the assigned task form itself. So that is how you can use placeholders to dynamically display, render placeholder data, placeholder information in an assigned task form.